this is what I tell like everyone, or like always keep telling myself right now, like you can literally be anyone you want in this world. You're in a time where you can literally become a professional gamer, for example, and now you can become a professional filmmaker and make a lot of money. It's all as long as you want to put the hard work into it and that you believe in yourself.
Welcome back to another episode of the Kurative Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sutarji, and my guest today is Dean Pags. After just starting out as a filmmaker in 2017, Dean has seen huge success as a documentary filmmaker, creative director of Aerial Canvas, and co-founder of Fylm Media. In this episode, we talk about finding confidence in his ability to pursue his passion, scaling his business by trusting others, and building meaningful relationships to gain future clients. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone. Before we get to the episode, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who is watching the podcast on YouTube and listening to the episodes on all the podcast apps. There are many other ways to support the podcast. A few are to rate and write a review on iTunes. If you got value from the episode, you can share it with a friend, and you can email me at hello@kevinsutarji.com and tell me your story about which episode resonated with you. Also, when I announce my guest for the episode on Instagram and ask for questions, you can DM me your question for my guest. Lastly, you can subscribe and be part of the notification squad by opting in on getting notified on YouTube or any podcast app whenever a new episode is released. Thank you and enjoy the show. Just to be honest, because you're the first like videographer on my podcast, like
Yeah.
I was hella scared to bring a videographer on this podcast because I was like, I'm too ashamed of my setup and stuff.
No, I think it's fine. I think, for example, like everyone starts somewhere, you know.
Yeah,
I started from like the bottom as well, you know. And if you want to, I can like help you like grow as well. So.
Oh yeah, appreciate it.
I can tell you some tips and all that.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So Dean, thank you for coming to my podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So you're the first videographer, and you know I really wanted to do this where I just talk to different videographers, exchange ideas, and learn from them. But you know, like I didn't get a chance to until now. So thank you for coming.
Of course.
So for the audience that don't know you, why don't you talk about yourself and what your journey was until now?
My name is Dean Pags, and I am a documentary filmmaker. I've never always been a documentary filmmaker. I grew up with a healthcare background. So I went to UC Merced and I studied 4 years in healthcare, and I was actually going to be a nurse. But in 2017, I decided to make the switch into what my actual passion was. And that was, of course, filmmaking. And I never looked back since. So when you were working with your full-time job before doing filmmaking, like what got you into wanting to switch over to something that you were passionate about? Honestly, like I used to watch like a lot of YouTube back then. I mean, I still do right now.
Yeah.
But back then in 2017, I used to watch these travel videographers, and their names are like Sam Colder and Jordan Wright. You probably know about them.
Yeah, I know Sam Colder for sure.
Yeah, and it was about the time where like he was like just blowing up, and me and my friends were like, you know, just watching them. We were like, damn, like this is honestly the way to live your life.
Yeah.
You know, just traveling, having fun, creating videos, and pretty much making money for it. So that's kind of like sparked my interest. And that's one of the big reasons why I decided to like invest into like more camera gear and like just jump right into it. Try to like, you know, at first do some travel films and all that. But then I grew from that and started to do more clientele work and like documentary work.
So before you heard about Sam Colder and all the other YouTubers, did you enjoy doing videos before that, like in college or high school or anything?
Actually, no. If you were to ask me in high school if I would ever, you know, get into like photography or filmmaking, I probably would have said no. Like I didn't even really understand like why someone would get like a camera back then when they can just use their phone.
Right.
Yeah. So my understanding of like camera work and filmmaking, photography didn't come until I would say until college. That's when I invested into like a GoPro. But even then, I didn't have like an actual DSLR or actual mirrorless camera. I was just like creating like, you know, just action videos, like where it's like snowboarding or something.
Okay.
Or just hiking and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, everything starts somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I didn't really do a lot of videos as well. I got into videography a little bit in college for like the Filipino club.
Yeah.
I was like part of the web media marketing where
Yeah.
we do videos to promote like the events and all of that. But I had this, very small camera. It was like a point and shoot.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I wanted to invest so much money into it. Did you, when you were in college and you got a GoPro and stuff, like, were you thinking like, oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy this, I don't know, $300, $500 GoPro and just make videos?
Yeah, at the time, like, deciding to buy a GoPro for $350 like really hurt me. I was like, God, $350 just for this camera,
especially as a college student.
Yeah. Why can't I just use my phone?
Yeah.
But now I'm like investing like how much money, like $1,000 into like a camera, and like not even flinching.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to lead to, because like as a professional, you're buying gear that you probably need for whatever gig that you're doing, right?
Exactly.
So when you were getting more into videography, like, did you start buying gear that you thought, oh, okay, I need this, I need that, or when it was still a hobby, did you still hesitate?
No. So like, as I went on, like when it was still a hobby, I've always planned on making it like a full-time career.
Oh,
so I've always so this is 2017, right?
Yeah.
I decided to invest into like camera equipment and be like, okay, so if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it like full on.
Oh, interesting.
This is like when I was working like a job in healthcare.
Right.
So as I started doing gigs for like clients, I started to buy equipment that would like level me up to more gigs, and I just kept doing that like more and more and more until like I developed this huge list of equipment, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now I'm doing videos like as a hobby, and I love it, and I still love my full-time job. What got you to realize that, okay, I don't want to do anything related to healthcare anymore. I just want to do videos. Like, I know, you got inspired by Sam Colder, but like, our lives are kind of like, we have this full-time job, we got a stable paycheck and stuff. Yeah. And then going to videography or getting client work and stuff, it might not be as consistent. Was it scary to you or anything like that?
I wasn't, honestly, just because I was focused on like that. How do you call it? I'm trying to think how it was back then. I always knew that I could get to this point of where I'm at right now. I always knew that if you can honestly, this is what I tell like everyone, or like always keep telling myself right now, like, you can literally be anyone you want in this world. You're in a time where you can literally become a professional gamer, for example.
Right.
And now you can become a professional filmmaker and make a lot of money. Or you can be an actor like pretty easily. Well, not that easy, but it's all as long as you want to put the hard work into it, and that you believe in yourself.
Did you have this mindset like early on in your life?
Yeah. I would say that is the number one thing that got me to where I am today. Just believing that I can literally do anything I want in this world.
That's really good, because for me, it took me a while to really believe in myself. I always doubted myself, and I was always afraid of like, oh, if I fail, or if if I don't do well in this certain thing, I'm just gonna like be seen as like a failure. But I didn't have enough confidence to like go for what I really wanted to go to until, I don't know, like, I just started saying like, fuck it, I'm gonna release videos. I didn't know how to change like what 24 FPS is, 30 FPS is, 60 FPS, and I was just like, I'm just gonna release it and then see what happens and then learn on the go. That's really good that you're thinking that. So then during that process, like, how did you find your first clients? How did you do your first projects? Like, what did you do? So
at the time, like, I was working my healthcare job, right? And the way I found my first client was actually through social media. So at that time, I was just blasting on social media that I was doing filmmaking because I wanted to get clientele. And I was just making it known that, like, if you need videos, I'm your guy. I'd always post every day showing like my journey from like point A of, investing into the gear. Until, point B. Well, point B is still, it's still ongoing right now, right? But as I kept posting on social media, this one guy, his name was Randy Ramiro, and this is actually the guy that owns Infanta. So that's kind of like how they came into play.
Nice.
And they were actually my first client. So they reached out to me, we had a meeting and then we started doing work.
So obviously you were successful enough to continue working with them to a certain point.
Yeah.
And I've seen the videos that you made, so they're really good.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Were you ready when you got ready as a client? Like, were you confident enough to say, yeah, I can actually do a professional video, or were you just like kind of winging it as you were doing it?
Yeah, it's honestly, I mean, you're never really truly ready for anything. It's more just like fuck it, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna learn as I go. I'm not gonna be afraid of like failures. I'm just gonna know at the end of this, I'm gonna be doing my best, and that's gonna be my best, absolute best work.
Yeah.
So
the reason I ask is I was part of a wedding for my friend's wedding back in Slow, and I met the videographer, or he was a photographer for the wedding, but he told me he does videos as well, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm interested in videos. And he's like, you know what, come be my third shooter one day, like, you can just learn. And
that's awesome.
I went to the wedding like a couple months later, like a different wedding, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do like slow-mos. I didn't know what f-stop was,
Yeah.
what shutter speed was.
Yeah.
I was just doing auto, right?
Yeah.
Auto configurations. And like, oh man, I remember that was like the scariest thing I've ever done, because like I didn't know how to do anything. And then he trusted me with it. So
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because like sometimes when I'm working with clients or something like that, I don't think, like, I have that doubt, and I'm like, I get imposter syndrome.
Right.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know, I feel like, oh, maybe I'm not the right person to do it or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that still?
Yeah. I've not too much right now. I think just because I've been like pretty focused on like my own grind and like getting my businesses to where I want it to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to feel a lot of imposter syndrome, or I didn't deserve the success, or like I didn't deserve this notoriety that people were giving me, like putting myself on a platform of like, oh, like you're inspiration, all that.
Yeah.
And I was like how? Like, I feel like, I'm just like a normal person, like, do I deserve this? Like, am I really that good?
Yeah.
And I started like going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But it's like, to me, I think you just got to remind yourself, you got to like self-reflect and be like, okay, I came all this way, and there's a reason why I'm here where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why, that I have all the success, and it's kind of like remembering it like in your own way.
Yeah.
Then that, I think, to me, that's how you get out of like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah. So who did you learn from? Like, who did you learn all the videography skills from?
Honestly, my number one place I learned all my videography stuff from is YouTube University.
Yeah.
It's literally the number one school that I've learned everything from.
For sure. Who are the people that you whose tutorials did you learn from?
I forget. I'm not. I think it was like a bunch of random like tutorials where I learned like camera settings on from.
Mm-hmm.
But I did used to watch a lot of Casey Neistat, of course.
Interesting.
I used to watch a lot of Peter McKinnon. I think he was like back then he wasn't that big before, but when he became, I think, big in like 2018 or something.
Yeah.
That's when I started watching him.
Did you watch this 2-Minute Tuesdays or something?
Yeah. I watched those stuff. I watched a lot of, again, Simon Kohler, Taylor Cut Films.
Yeah.
I think they put out some sort of like tutorials back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from your first client with Infanta to like the many other clients, when did you start Fylm Media? Because I know you started it with your partner, Thomas.
Yeah.
And
shout out Thomas, by the way.
Yeah. And I feel like, that's something that is very exciting, starting your own business. And like, how did you get to that point? Because, I'm not sure if you built the clientele first or anything like that.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned this with Infanta, by the way, because the reason how I met Thomas was through Infanta.
Oh.
On my first like LA trip with Infanta, Thomas came along, and that's when I like first met him. So I went on a trip with him. We did the podcast for the local show.
You did a podcast with the local show.
Yeah,
like you were a guest?
I was a guest with them. So I was
I didn't know
I was
that.
like representing like Infanta.
Cool.
Yeah. At that time, like I already did like 3 videos with Infanta, so like I had a relatively like, pretty good relationship with them.
Cool.
But yeah, I first met Thomas on that trip, and then we hit it off. And like, he was actually one of my first videography homies.
Oh, nice.
So we just hit it off. We started doing like more client gigs with each other. Before Fylm Media, I did freelance. So after my healthcare job, I went full-time freelance. I had like my own clientele base, and I was like doing more of like a one-man band type of gig.
Yeah.
And then me and Thomas started like doing weddings with each other. And then we kind of just realized like, hey, we should like just make a team. You know, I feel like you kind of like capped when you just like a one-man band. So if we double our output and double our production scale, then boom, we can make more money.
Yeah. So when you left your full-time job, like, did you already have like a good amount of money coming in that you're like, okay, I can live off of this? Or did you kind of say, I might not have enough money for a certain amount of point, but if I focus on it for, you know, all as a full-time job, like I'll start making growth?
Yeah. When I jumped into full-time freelance, I had a good enough money like that I saved up from like my CNA gig as a at an allergy practice. But like when I was working as a CNA, I had the clientele base already, and just because I had that clientele base, I felt pretty comfortable quitting my job as a CNA and jumping full time into freelance.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't really jump into it when I had like 0 clients. That would have been pretty scary.
Yeah, for sure.
So I already had a solid client base to kind of like support myself as I, you know, go on to this like new journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because, you know, like Kristen, when she left her full-time job, she like started to get into real estate right then and there, right? She just got her license the week that she quit or something. Yeah. And so, you know, some people are willing to like jump earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know,
hats off to that though.
Shout outs to Kristen. She's the one that hooked us up.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
to link us and stuff. And yeah, so I think, you know, going to client work, like how did you find more clients? Is it just based on your portfolio? Is it like through networking?
Honestly, so it's honestly through networking. It's honestly through like just building like genuine relationships with all your clients, and then it just goes into like this referral based system. Yeah. That if you do a good job with this one client, they'll refer you to like another client, and it goes, you know, on and on and on. And one of the biggest reasons why actually where I am today in terms of like having clients in the tech giant industry is through this one guy named Leslie Touche, and he's the owner of Next Play Events. So he was actually one of the guys that really gave me the opportunity and the platform to get these higher scale like clients that nice. I'm pretty fortunate to have like this early in my career. And yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
That's pretty sweet. So could you talk more about that? So what got you into it? Was it just making a good video and then like showing it to other people?
It was about like just building the portfolio and developing the relationships, and asking your clients for like referrals. You know, that's how I got most of my clients. And really, I actually got most of my clients too from just goodwill from my clients.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, they just like referred me to like a bunch of people, and then that's it.
Okay, cool. So I know you do real estate videos as well with aerial canvas.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
So I've known the two co-founders, or I've known one of the co-founders actually for a while.
Okay.
His name is Colby Johnson, and he's like one of the co-founders of Aerial Canvas, and he was actually dating one of my friends from college at the time. So we kind of like added each other. We added each other like back in 2018, like when we were like both building our businesses. And then I kind of noticed that he needed more like storytelling narrative pieces, and he hit me up and all that, and we kind of decided to like do work with each other like when he hit me up, and then it kind of just hit off from there. So I joined the company just because he needed more storytelling narrative pieces. I can bring that to him, and I can like bring that to his company.
Cool. So did you know that you're going to get into real estate videography?
No, not at all. I thought at first I thought I was just getting some more of like travel videography, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of just stepped away from that dream, and I stepped more into like clientele, commercial and brand clientele.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw Aerial Canvas. They were doing pretty well. I was like, hey man, I can help you bring my expertise of what I'm good at into real estate media. So I jumped into the company with him.
Yeah.
As I was still building my company. Yeah.
Are you still pretty active in both Fylm Media and Aerial Canvas then?
Oh yeah. Basically, I have no life. So I'm working on like Aerial Canvas in the daytime, and then I'm working on Fylm Media on the nighttime and weekends. So
wow.
Yeah.
So I've seen Aerial Canvas's work. It's amazing. Like the photos, the videos, it's pretty crazy. And I've always had a slight interest in real estate, just because like I don't know, when I was starting to work, and I'm hearing my friends like buy houses, right?
Yeah.
Like I like to see nice photos of the house, or like really cool real estate videos.
Yeah.
And Aerial Canvas does really good work.
Yeah, they're doing good. Honestly, they're really disrupting the industry in terms of like real estate media.
Yeah.
Like real estate media is a very, very old industry, and the way it was before was it was very like boring.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of just bringing that millennial attitude to like real estate media, and just providing like a little twist.
So how do you go from like talking to a client to finally releasing a product with them? Because I'm assuming that a lot of clients have different preferences. They want different products, maybe like a 1-minute video for social media to like a 6-minute video with like interviews and all of that. Like, what is the process? Because when I talk to my clients, and I don't have a lot of people that are paying yet, but even then I still try to like make sure that they enjoy what I'm making. Yeah. I was just curious, like, what is your process?
I mean, I would go through the whole like pre-production process, and then the production and the post-production, right? So it's all about whenever you're in like the consultation phase or like the pre-production phase, it's all about like setting expectations first. Mm-hmm. Like what are the asks of the client? And when they give you your asks, you want to hit those, of course. Mm-hmm. And you want to also tell them like what your style is. So I'm pretty good at documentary and storytelling pieces. I do like a lot of like narrative work. I do a lot of interview work. So if you want to do more of a storyline based video, I can give that to you. And 10 times out of 10, they want that, right? Because who doesn't want to tell their story,
right? Definitely.
And I asked them like, what is your target video length? If it's an event, what is the audience size? That's pretty much it.
Do you how many like iterations do you go through with a client? Do you guys have any set number of iterations, or do you just like do it until it's done?
No, I don't do it until it's done, just because it can go on and on and on.
Yeah,
but I lock it in at 2 revision cycles.
Okay.
So I think that's pretty important, just because when you have a locked in 2 revision cycles, they'll know that, okay, so I have to get all of my revision requests in the first cycle. Yep. And then on the next one, I get all my revision requests in that last one. Mm-hmm. And it has to be all in one. So they can't be like requesting a revision that they just remembered, like, oh, down like way down the line. Like that's no. That's a waste of time.
And how are you with taking feedback? Were you always good at taking feedback from others, especially on your work?
At first I wasn't, just because I was like, oh, this is my art piece,
Yeah.
Like the way I do it is like always good, right?
Yeah.
That was my thing at first.
Right.
But the more I went into like this filmmaking industry, is that you really have to like set your ego aside, and you have to know that a collaborative mindset on a certain projects, or all projects actually, is better than just one mindset. Mm-hmm. So, for example, like with my business partner, like my other teammates, so I would give the final product to them, and then they would give me the revision requests, and then we would all collaborate into making a better product than we originally had it.
Okay. Yeah. So do you guys typically work on separate projects and then like ask each other for feedback, or do you sometimes work together on a project? So say, you have a client and then you're filming on your own, but when it comes to editing, like, do your other partners come and like help edit with you, or is it just only you and then ask for feedback? Usually
in the editing phase, it's usually just me if I were to edit the project. But for coloring, for example, I usually have my business partner Thomas handle the coloring just because he's better at it. So yeah, it's kind of like a post-production like kind of like model.
It's like a workflow.
Yeah. Like in movies, right? Not one person handles like everything. Not one person handles like the editing, the coloring, the audio design, the assembly edits, all that. It's all like different people. Yeah. So we're trying to like replicate that kind of like assembly line.
Yeah. I'm having a trouble with that right now because like I'm doing everything myself and I'm definitely not good with coloring. Like that's my least favorite thing to do. Yeah. And that's like something that I'm still trying to learn, but very slowly. And it's so nice that like if you're working with a team, you're just like people with different skills are working on the same project, you know?
Exactly. It helps. It helps to have like different eyes on a project because sometimes they don't see, or they see what you don't see. That's what it is.
I definitely try to ask for feedback from my close friends who know my style. And I think that's the thing, is like they can't give you feedback if they don't know your style, because they won't see your vision or of this project. They'll try to change it up where it doesn't even look like your project anymore.
Have
you ever gotten that from like a client?
Yeah.
You don't have to name names.
I'm not gonna name names. But it happens though. Like sometimes clients want different some different kind of things that you weren't really trying to implement. But the thing is that you have to please the client, and you have to always like serve the client's requests, because they're your client and they're paying you probably.
It's a balance.
It's a balance. Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I know you. So I listened to another podcast that you did, and Rich's podcast, and you guys were talking about like the documentary.
Yeah.
How was that? Because like I've always wanted to do documentary. I think the documentary that really got me interested into that kind of area was minimalism. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have. I haven't watched the full thing, but my buddy Rich, the guy I was on the podcast with, he lives like a minimalist life, and he like vouches for that documentary. So
that documentary was like, it changed my life about like my views of documentaries, because before I just thought, oh, documentaries are so boring, whatever. But ever since that came out, and then I started watching like other ones, I started to realize that there's a lot of work and time, effort, love into making that project. And I now follow the videographer, the filmmaker who made that documentary, Matt Diavella. Have you heard of him?
I have not, actually.
Okay, he's really good. He's very minimal in his like videography, but he's really good. And he actually had like a 6-part series on how he made the minimalism documentary.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that got me to like appreciate it even more. Which is crazy. Like,
is this on YouTube or something?
It's on YouTube.
Oh,
cool, you should watch the YouTube series and then watch the documentary, and then like you'll kind of appreciate it. But like I wanted to know the process, because I felt like documentaries just take multiple days, maybe even weeks or months. And like how was it?
It was good. It was really good. So this documentary happened in the summer, I think, of June. June and July, and going into August as well.
Oh, 2019?
Yeah, it's in 2019.
Okay.
And what it was about was the Silicon Valley CEO, and he's a bicyclist, and he was doing this race called Race Across America. It stands for like RAM.
Nice.
And we followed this guy going from Oceanside, California, biking all the way to the Maryland of the East Coast.
Damn.
Indianapolis, Maryland of the East Coast. And he had to do that within 12 days.
Wow, 12 days.
Yeah, that was like, so it was about 3,000 miles basically. Yeah, and it was a crazy experience. We basically filmed his pre-race, content, him like kind of like building up towards the race, his like training,
right.
His meetings, and that was like 2 months before the race. And then we went on the road with them. We were on the road with them for like 14 days, and it was pretty it was pretty grueling, really. Yeah. Because we were literally filming like nonstop. We were like filming for like 16 hours each day, and we were getting like no sleep, and we were sleeping in the car for a bit, and I mean, I wasn't the only. So my role and my buddy's role, which is Colby Johnson, the co-founder of Aero Canvas.
Okay.
Our roles were just camera operating.
Okay.
And DPing. So. that was literally the only thing we're doing. We weren't
Mm-hmm.
editing. We weren't doing sound. We had a sound guy on set as well. And we weren't like, let's say, directing. We had a director and we had a producer on set. So, yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience.
Yeah, that's cool. I think following someone for like multiple days, and it's just like trying to get every aspect of their story. Basically, it's like
Exactly.
it's kind of tiring, I would think.
Yeah, because again, like you have to film like nonstop because you're always trying to capture that moment, and you don't want to miss that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're filming nonstop. You're trying to create shots on the go as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say like the guy's name is John, right?
Yeah.
So he's biking, right? So you want to jump ahead and you want to get those creative shots.
Right.
So you want to plant yourself down, plant a tripod or something, or plant yourself on the top of a car.
Yeah.
Or plant yourself like in the car while the car is moving side by side with him.
Oh yeah.
So it was a crazy experience.
Yeah.
Probably one of the craziest experiences I'll ever live.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think I know when it comes to making videos for me, if I want to have the subject like, oh, go back, I missed the shot, or
Yeah.
like I saw that and it looked cool, can I take the shot? Did you guys have to do that?
Nah.
Like,
So yeah, before like on other projects you can do that, but with this kind of stuff, it's more of like either get it or you don't.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So
Because he's racing, like you don't want him to go back or like take time off from the race, and like he might
Yeah.
miss the 12 days, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely you definitely don't want to like interfere with the race.
Exactly,
Or
yeah.
you don't want to interfere with like the race crew as well,
Mm-hmm.
or else they get pretty pissed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's either you get it or you don't. And if you don't get it, just jump ahead again and try to get it again
Okay.
until you do get it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that your first time doing a sort of documentary video?
Yeah, that was actually my first time, ever shooting a documentary in general. I've always done storytelling narrative pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and I just translated that experience into like documentary filmmaking,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned even more stuff about like how to actually do a documentary. And yeah, I'm pretty blessed because that's like literally my career goal, to become a documentary filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what documentary really got you inspired to be a documentarian, I guess? Is that, I don't even know if that's a word.
Well,
Like person working on documentaries.
yeah, like a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. The number one documentary off the top of my head is like Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Oh, yeah.
I really just love how the storytelling was, really like how like the cinematography was on all that as well, and and like the narrative pieces behind Jiro. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
That's actually one of my other favorite documentaries.
Yeah,
That got me into, that was one of the few documentaries that got me into fine dining.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, I'll never, I love food, but I'll never pay for that kind of experience. And then like I see Jiro like, putting so much love into like sushi,
Exactly.
right? And I was like, okay, I get it. And then I started watching Chef's Table.
Yeah.
And that's what
Just
got me
always good
into documentaries as well. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like telling people stories, letting them talk about, you can see the passion when they talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what's great about it. And I feel like nowadays there's so many documentaries that are like telling other stories that like you'd never think you would hear anymore. And so it's really cool.
Exactly. I think that's why we're living a pretty good time where like seeing other people's stories or hearing about other people's stories like very accessible.
Yeah.
To everybody now. And I think that's why like that's kind of why I made the switch from like healthcare to like become a documentary filmmaker or going that route.
Right.
It was because I've always wanted to help people, but I didn't want to do it in like the nursing kind of way. I wanted to do it more of like, combining my passion kind of way. So documentary filmmaking kind of way.
Yeah.
Because you're helping people in a different kind of way, more of a social impact, brand awareness or social awareness kind of way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So working all by yourself, like on projects all by yourself versus working with the team, like how much did it change in the way you thought about a project? Like, was it easy to do, or were you, because like sometimes I would be the one that says, oh, I kind of want to do everything. Like, it's not that I don't trust people, but I just feel like I want to take on this task of going from end to end. Like, were you that type of person, or did you say, was that transition pretty easy?
Yeah. So at first I had that mentality as well. At first I was, I had more of a one-man band kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Where like my way of doing it was like the only way because I thought I did it the best. Right. But to me, I think that wasn't as scalable, and I understood that from a business standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned to, like, let's say, trust my business partner Thomas, for example, or trust my team at Aero Canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, like, for example, shoot and have a second shooter with me.
Yeah.
And I would hand off the editing to either Thomas, for example, or my team at Aero Canvas, and I would kind of just like work with them like on the edit or something. And to me, I think that might be the more scalable solution, just so you can like free up your time to do other let's say more projects or something like that.
Yeah. And when it came to like working in a team, you obviously like could buy more gear, especially because you need more gear to shoot.
Yeah.
Have multiple people shoot. How did the mentality of gear change? Because you were saying like, okay, now I don't think twice about buying gear.
Yeah.
Like, how hard was it to change to that mentality?
I don't think it was too hard, just because like going into it, I always knew that like if I'm gonna do this, I gotta go with it full on. Mm-hmm. So if I needed, let's say, like a new shotgun mic, like NTG3 Plus for example, and I knew that I couldn't do it with a on the mic Rode shotgun, like one of those cheaper ones.
Right.
I would just say, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy it, because that's what's gonna level me up, and that's what's gonna eventually lead me to more gigs and more projects and more money. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of just like investing in yourself, investing into the gear, and it'll pay itself off in the end.
Yeah. I think I saw a few of your Instagram stories where like you're doing an interview and you have like hella gear. Like
which one is this?
I don't know. Like it was just one where like you had reflectors and huge cameras. Like I don't even know what those cameras are. Like I'm in the like small Sony Canon like cameras, so I don't even know what gear you're using. But like when it came to like buying those gears, like how did you know what to get? Did you just research like crazy?
I knew what to get just because I do follow this like one guy that like I kind of like aspire to be this guy, just because I know he's like going the route that I'm going as well. Okay. And I kind of just follow like his gear that he has. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be going this route, like I need this gear, and this gear. Yeah. And that'll take me there.
Yeah, I actually think that it's nice to have someone that you look up to.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like I don't really know this guy personally. Right. His name is Robert Machado. Mm-hmm. He's on like YouTube and all that. And he has an FS7 as well, and he shoots a lot of like branded projects and like documentary pieces as well. Mm-hmm. So I kind of see him as like some sort of mentor per se, even though I don't really know him. Right. But I mean, he's been working out so well so far. So
yeah. I actually think that like I have that same mentality too, where like I look for a quote unquote mentor through YouTube, basically YouTube University. And Matt Diavella, the guy that I was telling you about, when he did the documentary, he started doing other stuff like original YouTube videos. Yeah. And then he started to do podcasts, like video podcasts. And basically like my whole setup is like inspired or based off of like what he did or what he still does. Yeah. And like he had tutorials on how he sets up his cameras, his lights and all of that. And I was like, okay, this is the guy like I want to be like to aspire to. Yeah. So it's kind of cool because I personally haven't met anyone that I wanted to kind of be mentored by in terms of like my filmmaking. So like I think it's cool that we found people online, even though we don't know them personally. Yeah. And I sometimes wonder if they know how much of an impact that they've done, like people like us, we learn from them. Yeah. And they've never met us, we've never met them.
Yeah, I think it's just awesome. Like like I said again before, like we're at a time where like we have a lot of content nowadays that are accessible for us to learn off of. Yeah. Whereas let's say 10 years ago, like you couldn't really do that. Right. And it was harder to become a filmmaker. It was hard to become an actor, for example, or like anything, maybe in the creative industry. But now, like, yeah, everything's more accessible, and you can have these mentors that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever like meet other videographers in person or filmmakers in person where you like start to learn from them and they kind of like get that mentor-mentee relationship? Have you met anyone?
I haven't been doing that recently, but I used to do that. Like, I used to meet with like other fellow videographers, filmmakers, photographers, and just kick it with them, and kind of just have like meetings, like one-on-one meetings with them, because they would ask me like, oh, like, I see your success, right? Like, how did you get there? Kind of like a podcast, really.
Yeah.
And I'm just like telling them, like, over some beer, like how we got there, and it's just, again, it's just about just doing it, really.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of those requests?
Not too much lately, just because I haven't really been posting on social media. But I post on my IG stories like pretty much daily. Yeah. But yeah.
So do you not post your work then on your Instagram? Like, anything from Fylm Media or Ariel, do you not post on your personal?
I don't right now, but I'm about to pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
I don't, because I haven't had time really to like to do the whole social media thing. Yeah. Just because it takes a lot of time.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And I'm pretty focused on like, my 3 businesses. 1 is Aero Canvas, 2 is Fylm Media, and the 3rd business is really my girlfriend,
Yeah.
Because she takes a lot of my time as well.
Yeah.
So, in social media, like, you have to like post, create the caption, right? And then you kind of get distracted sometimes, or you're caught up with like the likes, for example, I feel like. And you just get caught in like that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But I do want to get back into it, because I found a lot of success at first with social media. So it does definitely work.
Yeah, I feel like it's a balance, because if you're too much into social media and you're not actually doing work, that's bad, right? And then if you're doing work, but like you said, you're not really sharing it, you might not get the exposure that you need or that you were looking for.
Exactly.
And like, I'm still trying to find that balance, because like with this podcast, the only place I really advertise is on Instagram. Yeah. But this podcast episode is like probably like an hour or so, right? Yeah. And then I have to create a 1-minute teaser trailer, and then like write a caption and all that. Yeah, and
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's I feel like I need help with that, and like right now I'm doing everything by myself. Yeah. But I'm trying to like see if I can automate things, or like have someone to help me out. Yeah. Yeah. So it's something that I need to work on as well.
Definitely. I think what would help you out is like getting like an assistant editor. Like getting like an intern or something, or like I think you can like double your scale and double your output with that.
Yeah. When did you finally realize that okay, I can afford having assistant editors, or was it already deep into your business where you're like, okay, I have enough money to pay for?
Yeah, I mean, it was more so like deep into my business, like with Aero Canvas, like we already had like an established team where I can ask for help within the team.
That's nice. Okay.
And then for Fylm Media, I had my business partner Thomas, who can help me out, like whether it's like we shoot something together, or if I don't have time editing, he can take care of the edit. And as far as if like we're all busy, then we would ask like an outside person to maybe edit, or outside person to like shoot. Oh, okay. At that time, it's more of like how busy are you? If you're really busy, you don't have the time to like edit or shoot, you can hands down ask someone else, like, take care of it. Someone you trust, obviously. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's when I knew that I can afford hiring people. Yeah. When I know that I'm like super busy and I can't carry how do you call it? Like my output or something.
Right. Yeah. Like you can't do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I need to think about it differently, because right now it's like, oh, I'll hand off the project to someone else, but it's not really like under my brand, I guess. Like, I mean, I don't really have a brand. I'm just me. Yeah. Where you're like Fylm Media, right? Yeah. So then that means you're like contracting work out to people.
Exactly.
Right?
So you contract work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like you have to like contract someone that you trust that can carry your brand.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course, you're going to be like working with them. Let's say they edit, you're going to be working with them to make sure it's like on the Fylm brand or on the Aero Canvas brand. So, so the better the person is, the easier that transition can happen. The not so good that person is, then it'll be, it'll be a pain in the ass.
So for aerial canvas, like what do you do specifically? Do you like do the filming, editing as well? Because I mean, I'm assuming if Fylm Media is something that you started, you probably focus more on that, or is it really half and half?
It's really half and half.
Wow.
Because so at Aerial Canvas, I'm the creative director behind Aerial Canvas. I'm the one that's like heading the creative production team.
Mm-hmm.
So I do a lot of like the storytelling and the narrative pieces around, like, let's say like realtors or like certain stories.
Oh. Okay.
And what's pretty great is that that's exactly what I do in Fylm Media.
Oh.
So
nice.
it literally goes hand in hand. For how much I grow in Aerial Canvas within the storytelling space, I grow as well in Fylm Media in terms of like skill sets or portfolio pieces, whatever. So it's like I'm pretty much in the best position that I can be in.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I think I'm afraid of getting to a point where I spread myself so thin I can't do the thing that I love, which is like filming, editing, and stuff. Like I would be afraid of like just focusing on the coordination and all that.
Yeah.
Like, are you still pretty much doing a lot of filming, a lot of editing?
Yeah. So what I do a lot of in AC is I do a lot of like biz dev in terms of like creative production. I build products out in terms of creative production. And I do a lot of like client facing stuff. I do a lot of like pre-production meetings, kind of like leading like the client of where the story can go. So I'm literally like the director behind like most of my shoots within AC. And then I also for most shoots as well, I do a lot of like DPing as well. So I do like a lot of the shooting. And as far as editing, I try to hand it off to my team as much as possible or someone else, just so I can like focus more on like bringing in more client facing projects, right? Or do more client facing stuff and bringing more like revenue into the business or starting more projects. Yeah. So that's kind of like what I mean by like doubling your output. Like let's say you do everything. So you can't really edit and do client facing stuff at the same time.
Definitely not.
You're just gonna be capped.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna be burned out. So if you kind of like offload the editing and like trust people to like carry out like your vision, like that'd be like the best way possible.
Yeah, I'm having that trouble right now because I do these podcasts, I'm editing, releasing, and then I also try to find the next guest that I need to bring, right? And then like constantly trying to fill up these spots, and like right now, it's fine, but after a certain amount of weeks, I have to start that process again of like trying to find more people and trying to coordinate and all that, and it's super tough.
It's a lot of work, especially with like you have a 9-to-5 as well.
I have a 9-to-5 as well.
It's tough stuff.
Do you think that like it was easy for you to say, okay, I'm not gonna do my 9-to-5 anymore, I'm just gonna do video? Like, was it? Did you not like your job enough? Is that maybe a fair question to ask?
No, I think it is. It is. I mean, it's a very honest question.
Yeah.
I would say, I really didn't. I really didn't like what I was doing. I mean, I liked helping people, of course. I love like that was like making people. So I used to work as a CNA at an allergy practice. I did like, making people smile at the end of their visits and like really connecting with them. And making like their sad visit, turn into like a happy one, just because like of our person-to-person interaction. But
what is CNA? Sorry.
CNA is like a clinical nurse assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but the thing is that I couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life.
Yeah. What
I really saw myself doing was something that's more fun and more creative. I was a creative person at heart. I'm a storyteller at heart. And I was wondering like, how can I fold this into like doing this for a living while also helping people? So it's kind of like what I said before. It's kind of becoming a documentary filmmaker, creating those social impact projects, creating those social awareness projects, and really telling people stories that, that might need to be heard, for example. Being that voice of that person.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have great stories to tell.
Exactly.
And this is what I try to do with the podcast is
Yeah.
like trying to provide a platform for people to tell their story.
Yeah.
Because I used to do kind of like interview documentary style videos where I just interview them and then I'd put on some B-roll on top and stuff like that. But like for me, I felt like that took a long time to do, especially on my own, especially as a hobby, doing it part-time. So I felt like this podcast was a better platform for people to tell their story.
Yeah.
It's a lot faster, a lot easier to edit and release and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about these podcasts, because like, especially for on the smaller scale things.
Yeah.
Because you're really like bringing to light people's stories that can help people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say someone's in the position that I'm in, right? They want to be a filmmaker, but they have a 9-to-5, but they also want to they're afraid to get a stable job,
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like my role as someone in the community to like help them, guide them to the direction of like, if they really want to do it, this is how you can do it, and take risks.
Yeah.
So that's why I love podcasts.
Yeah. Appreciate you giving some insight about how you why you do it, how you do it, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Of course.
So I got some Instagram questions.
Yeah.
I asked a few people, my followers, to see what they would like you to answer.
That's great.
So the first one is from Embrace Less Waste. You know some of these people, so
Yeah.
I usually those are the people that like ask the questions.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So she asked, when did you know that you were naturally good at something enough to pursue it?
When did I know that I was naturally good at something to pursue it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Because like you wouldn't like leave your 9-to-5 if you thought you were shitty, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
If I was pretty shitty at like filmmaking, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can't do this.
Right.
I'm gonna stick with my 9-to-5.
Right. Like when, I don't know if you remember like the exact time, but when did it click?
When did it click?
Yeah.
Honestly, like it clicked like 1/4 of the way. So this whole transition happened in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I invested into like camera gear and I think it was February or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I like got my first clients like in fonts and them.
Right.
So like after like my 4th project, I really felt like, all right, damn, I'm actually kind of good at this.
Damn, 4 projects only?
Yeah.
Shit.
And I was like, dude, I'm like, what if I like really take this all the way and be like someone that I actually want to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
So I did it. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it. I said yes to every client from then on there.
Right.
And I worked my ass off, and yeah, that's kind of
4 projects. That's a lot less than I thought, to be honest. Like that, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Jumping ship after 4 projects. So it's really good.
Well, I mean, I didn't jump ship after the 4th project. I just knew that I was good,
Okay, fair enough.
At the 4th project, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep on doing this and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then 2018, quit my CNA job, and then did freelance.
Yeah, I've done a few projects now, and I still feel like I'm not good enough. I think that's the difference between you and me. I don't have that like huge confidence to say like, okay, I'm good enough to do this full time yet.
Yeah.
And whether it is just me or it's like really true. Yeah. I think I've done like over double digits worth of projects, and I still think like, oh man, I'm not sure I'm ready.
Yeah, I feel like it's like it's a lot of like how you believe it's a lot about how you believe your projects are. If you believe your projects are like good, they're gonna be good.
Yeah, for sure.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So the second question is from Kristen Nguyen. Where did you find inspiration from? So like when you're working on a new project or when you're thinking of new ideas, like where do you find your inspiration from?
Where do I find my inspiration from? So I used to find a lot of my inspiration from, again, these travel videographers, right? Mm-hmm. But I kind of like moved on from that.
Right.
So now my focus is a little bit different on like a bigger scale, I would say. And since I want to become like a documentary filmmaker, I want to tell more stories in sense of like commercial projects. Mm-hmm. I've been looking at like a lot of like Nike and Adidas like ads. Oh. So I consume a lot of that content. And I try to like, let's say, replicate it in a kind of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just like have that whole energy feel, movement feel.
Okay.
Like, so it's like kind of more like on a commercially branded like project, because ideally I want to get them as a client like in the future, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how I would like look to those bigger companies. Nike, Adidas, REI, North Face. They produce a lot of great like social media content or video content in general.
Cool.
So I just replicate it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you're watching those kind of videos, is that the type of content that you watch now? Like, this is not a question that Kristen asked, but like, are you just watching content that you're trying to get inspiration from for your business, or do you sometimes just watch content just for the hell of it?
Nowadays, like I usually only like watch content so I can like apply it to like my business,
right?
And apply it to like my own craft,
right?
So if I'm trying to build more of like an energy and like movement type of style, then I'm gonna watch Nike and Adidas, and I'm gonna add that to like my content. Or if I want to develop more of like a storytelling, slow based narrative, then, well, for one, Nike has that too, and Adidas has it too. I watch a lot of their content actually, because they're the ones that are really like disrupting the industry and making really eye capturing videos. They're the ones that are capturing your audience in like 5 seconds, because that's how you create good content. If you're not capturing your viewers in 5 seconds, it's people are going to click away. Yeah,
especially if like, you know, on YouTube they have the ads, you can click away after 5 seconds away from the ad. So that makes sense for sure. Cool. Her second question is, whose story would it be a dream for you to tell via video?
Oh man, that's a good question. Whose story?
Maybe like your ultimate documentary like dream.
Ultimate documentary dream.
Like who would you want to create a documentary film for?
So actually, so I've always had this like dream ever since I first became like, you know, a filmmaker and all that. And I've always wanted to create like a documentary about either J. Cole or Kanye.
okay. And
or just be on the team, you know, like creating the documentary. Not one person creates the documentary. It's a team. Like I really love, like, I love music. I love their music. I love like kind of what kind of story that they're like portraying to the world. I know Kanye's like a little bit out there, but he has an interesting story. You know, I want to like, I'm sure he has good intentions, you know, and I want to like help build his narrative. I know Travis Scott just came out with a documentary on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't either,
but I want to like, you know, do something like that.
Oh, cool. Those are like, I grew up with Kanye. I grew up with like J. Cole. I haven't heard his latest stuff, but I love J. Cole. He's one of my favorite artists for sure.
He's those two are definitely top 3 for me.
Nice. Cool. The next question is from Alston Pacheco. How long did it take for you to grow your business and your brand to what it is today?
How long did it take? So if I were to look back in, right? So 2017 is where I started to pick up things. And then 2018 is where I began my freelance journey. And 2019 is actually where I built Fylm Media. So I actually just started Fylm Media in January.
Oh, okay.
And I joined.
Not even a year.
Yeah, not even a year. So I'm still very young to the business. And I joined Aero Canvas in November 2018. So basically, 2019. Yeah.
So then, like, looking back, do you feel like that was pretty quick progression, or did you feel like, you know, you saw that gradual movement towards where you are now?
I would say it's pretty quick, to be honest.
I think so too, actually.
I think it's insanely quick, and I think I'm just like blessed to like have made the relationships that I've made, and to build the connections that I've made and get the projects and clients that I've made. Like for example, wouldn't have thought I would be doing work for like LinkedIn on a vendor basis in my first month. first 2 months, for 3 months in film, you know?
Yeah. You wouldn't have thought you would have like filmed a documentary.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought I'd film a documentary in my first year.
Yeah.
You know? Well, really, like 2017 was my first year, 18 is my second year, third year. So I wouldn't have thought I'd film a documentary my third year.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that even this documentary is gonna be on like Netflix too.
Oh,
so
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like insane. So like I thought back and I was like, damn, dude, like how did I even like get all this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest reason why I was able to create these relationships and build these connections and get these clients is because I would just put out positive energy.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you put out positive energy in the world, I think you can achieve and you can create meaningful and lasting relationships.
Yeah.
As long as you're a positive person.
Yeah.
The moment you start being like negative, you know, that's when people like, you know, start going away.
Definitely. I think like there are a lot of talented people, a lot of talented filmmakers and all of that, but if you don't have a great relationship with the clients and stuff, they're not going to refer you to anyone else. You know, If they didn't enjoy working with you, like, why are they going to have you work with other people that they're cool with?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like so, if you're not creating those good vibes on production, or if you're not creating those good vibes and like, you know, like whenever you're talking with them, you know, they're not going to want to talk to you.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice, and I feel like a lot of people have to remember that like it's not just your work; it's like you as a person interacting with the client. So. Yeah,
it's all about just being like genuine. Like as long as you're being your own genuine self and you're doing things at the bottom of like your heart and you're not doing it for your own like selfish reasons, just to like, you know, get ahead of the game or like one up someone or like out compete someone, you know, then
yeah. That's great advice. His second question is, what gear do you use personally and professionally?
So professionally I have an FS7 now. So I have an FS7. I use that on all like my narrative and storytelling projects. And I actually just recently bought like an easy rig as well. And that's honestly like one of my favorite things.
Is that the one I saw on your?
Yeah. It's like one of the.
It's crazy. It's
huge. It's like a backpack type of thing, and it has a crane going down. And so what it literally does is that it carries the weight of the camera, because like the FS7 is like it's a huge rig.
Yeah. And
it's like really heavy. Where if you were to hold that and like handheld it for like probably even like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, your arms are going to be fatigued. Your back is going to hurt.
Right.
And you can't get that handheld movement, you know, handheld movements is one of my favorite things. So with an easy rig, the easy rig takes off all the weight from the camera. It can literally hold itself.
That's so cool.
Now you can literally have that handheld movement without being tired with your arms, without being tired with your back. Yeah. And it kind of just really just save yourself in the future.
Yeah, for sure. We're young. We don't want to ruin our back so early.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How much is that?
It's pretty expensive. So the easy rig was like $8,000. So it's definitely not cheap, but it's a great investment.
It's a huge investment, I'm sure.
It'll pay itself off in the future.
Cool. And then what do you use personally?
Personally, I use let's say for like travel stuff, I use my A7 III.
And do you have a Ronin gimbal or like glide cam or anything? Do you bring that?
I used to have a Ronin S, and I sold it just because I don't really use it. I have a glide cam, but I don't really use it either. I mainly just do. I'm more of a fan of like static shots. Oh, okay. I like static shots. I like more handheld movements. But as far as like needing like gimbal work, you definitely need a gimbal for like adding more movement and all that. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's not necessary, but
it definitely helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. For sure. Oh, for sure helps. Yeah. I kind of just let my buddy take care of the more of the gimbal stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And his last question is, and I don't know if you want to answer this, but
go ahead. How
do you deal with taxes? Oh, like I guess writing off the taxes, the equipment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an accountant by any means. I'm not a CPA, so take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure if I wanted to answer this, but
I would say
disclaimer.
Disclaimer. As certified accountant, don't take my words as 100% true. Yeah. But taxes, is something that you don't want to like mess up. Generally like what you want to do with your taxes is that for every client work you get, you really want to save 30% of that income, because that 30% is going to be paid off towards taxes.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're building up like this 30% from each gig, you'll know like how much you owe in taxes at the end of the year. Like in when's tax month? April?
Yeah.
Yeah. So April is tax month.
Yeah.
So when you know like how much you need to owe in taxes to Uncle Sam, what I do is that I figure out that number, and I figure out like how much I want to like business write off. So like you can counteract those taxes by making like business expenses.
Right.
So let's say you buy an easy rig for $8,000, right? And let's say you have $8,000 worth of taxes that you need to pay Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
So with buying the easy rig, you literally just offset those taxes.
Right.
Now you don't have to pay that 8,000 taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you good at keeping track of what you bought and what you like, your expenses, like, you know, food, travel, and all of that? Because you can write those off, right?
Yeah.
Are you pretty good at that, or?
Oh yeah. At first I wasn't good at it, but I learned along the way that I have to be good at it, or else, you know, I'm not going to be like as efficient or like cost effective.
Yeah. You might lose money that you would have kept.
Yeah. So like I started to log all my receipts, log all my equipment expenses, and I hired a CPA, of course, because I don't know how to do that, all that paperwork.
Yeah.
So again, hire a CPA.
Yeah, for sure.
And they'll tell you all this.
Yeah. I definitely am really bad at writing things off, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's not fun. I would say like you should dedicate your time to doing more of your craft, and like hire someone to do something that you're not really good at.
Yeah. Agreed. For sure. Cool. So the last person, Tim Chan Media. Right now he says he's stuck in a 9-to-5 job and currently freelances, but he loves to go full time. Any tips and tricks, you know, like things that people might not know, to get to the point of doing it full time? Basically, like from your experience. Yeah.
I mean, what really pushed me to like quit my 9-to-5 is really like find your like what is your like your true meaning. Like what do you really want to do for the rest of your life? If you're, for example, 28, or let's just say you're 21, for example, you know, how many years can you do what you're doing for a 9-to-5? You know, if you can only do it for 10 years, then shit, you know.
Yeah.
You better find something else. But if you can do it for like 50 years, then like great, you know, stay at it. Yeah. Keep that 9-to-5. For me personally, if I were to make an example out of me, I couldn't really see myself being a nurse for the rest of my life, whether it's like 50 years, 40 years, whatever. And it's all about kind of like creating that platform for yourself. So I want to become a filmmaker. So I did everything in my means to become a filmmaker. I studied YouTube through YouTube University, the best school ever. I found mentors that can really help me, whether it's like someone that you don't know, or someone that you do know, you know. I surrounded myself with people that can inspire me and help me grow, and all that. And I took risks. So I put myself out of my comfort zone. I did jobs that I didn't really know how to do and learn on the spot, for example. Yeah. And I talked with people that, you know, might not have been comfortable talking with.
Yeah. I think that's something that like a lot of us don't reflect on that much. Is like, oh, can we do this 9-to-5 for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? And like,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, some people are just like going with the motions. 9-to-5 is just like almost every day, right? Then you have the weekends, you're trying to spend your time there resting, and then like it goes back to the 9-to-5 for another 5 days, and just a vicious cycle.
Exactly. And it sucks. Like, I think a lot of people are stuck in that mindset, and it's a little sad, because they're not really living the rest of their life the way they want it to be. You know, you literally spend most of your time at work, you know, and then you get home at like 6 o'clock, and then you probably have to sleep at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. right? So how many hours is that at home?
It's like 4 to 5.
So it's like,
not much.
So you have 5 hours each weekday to yourself, you know, and that's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
But if you really do something you're really passionate about and you really love, whether it's filmmaking or like cooking or like acting or like any other creative thing, or even like engineering, whatever, you know, like coding, like if you're not really doing something that you really, really love, I feel like, you know, it's hard. It's hard to, you know, to be happy.
Yeah, and this also goes to like finding the best 9-to-5 job that you'll be happy with, right? Like, if you're not in the video, you know, filmmaking, you're not interested in filmmaking, you're not interested in like playing in a band or anything, but you love like coding or you love designing, you can still do a 9-to-5 job with that passion.
Exactly.
You know, like it doesn't have to, you don't have to go to the freelance side. You can do it with the company as long as you enjoy it though, right?
Exactly. As long as you enjoy it, like as long as you're not like what I like to say is like praising regretting Mondays and praising Fridays. Like once you get into that cycle, it's hard, you know, because I don't know, at least for me it was pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think if you ever have a chance to like, you know, pursue a passion, something that you're passionate about, I would say do it, you know, because, you know, life is short.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool. So the last question is, what's next for you? What's next for Fylm Media? What's next for Aerial Canvas in terms of like what you're going to do with it?
So what I want to do for like, let's start with Aerial Canvas. I want to literally just build out the creative production team. I want to bring in more creative production projects. I want to really make Aerial Canvas the Nike and Adidas of real estate media. I think that's really disrupting the flow of like real estate media. Like all I want to do is just disrupt what I'm doing. Yeah. In terms of like Fylm Media, I really want to be known as like the tech giant, leading media agency in the Bay Area, you know? I mean, I think that's a good goal.
That's a great goal. And like go for something big.
Yeah, exactly. I want to like literally just hit on Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is like where it's at in terms of like, you know, wealth and like tech. Yeah. So I love all of those things. So
cool. And so if people want to follow you on social media or, you know, Fylm Media or Aerial Canvas, like where should they follow?
So Aerial Canvas Instagram is aerial.canvas, and then for Fylm Media it's Fylm Media, Fylm Media, and then for my own personal page, we'll be updating more. I would say it's just at Dean Pags.
Cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming out here, Dean. It's really fun talking to you about filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome, man.